Hey, this is Lindsey again, coming at you from Huntsville, Alabama. So I finished my cleanse about 2.5 weeks ago, and I have so many good things to say about it that I feel like I don't even know where to start. But there were some anticipated changes, and then there were a handful of unexpected benefits and changes that I didn't understand were tied into the Candida in my body. So, okay, so let me just start with the most obvious thing is that I dropped 12 pounds in 45 days without doing the crazy workouts that I'm used to doing. About fitness and working out, I would say during the cleanse, during the detox process, I definitely felt a little draggy and a little tired in the first half. And then after the second round, I was able to, start getting into the routine I was used to, but a much lighter version. And my body started responding very quickly to the exercise. And one of the things that surprised me, one of those unexpected benefits, was that after rigorous training, I didn't feel like I got hit by a truck. There was a time before the cleanse that I was eating two to three Advil, ibuprofen, Aleve, Tylenol, whatever I could get my hands on, every night before I went to bed because my body was so much inflammation and joints and agitated old injuries, and just I was at lactic acid built up in my muscles. I felt pretty rough, and it's one of the reasons I almost quit training, because I felt like I was getting too old. I'll be 34 in 2 months, and that's still pretty young. You know what I'm saying? That's not that bad. So the inflammation, the loss of inflammation in my body has to be like way up there on the list of the most amazing things ever. So my skin is still a little bit of a sensitive issue. I had amazing skin in that last week of the cleanse. I mean, my skin was bright and beautiful, and I had no breakouts whatsoever. But then I went on vacation like 3 days after I finished the cleanse, and maybe I got a little too adventurous with the food, so I ended up eating some things that I knew when I was eating them that were not quite part of the GAPS diet, but were close. So it was an interesting experience in what my body is able to tolerate and what it is not able to tolerate. But that's the beauty of it, right? Because if you think about before you do the cleanse, or if you're thinking about doing the cleanse, your body's so polluted, and likely you're eating things every day that contribute to that pollution, and a variety of things that contribute to that internal pollution in your body. So it's really hard to discern which one's which. You don't know, because your body's like on overload trying to process all this stuff that doesn't belong there. So what I like now is that when I eat something that I kind of question, I can usually tell within 3 to 5 days what it was that upset my system. And so it's really easy for me now to tell, what's okay and what's not okay. Whereas before, it was just sort of a hot mess, and it was anyone's guess. But now I know for sure there's certain things my body just doesn't tolerate. And any sort of bread, yeast, beer, anything like that is a definite no-go for me. What happens when I eat those things and I consume grains, and specifically like beer, sometimes wine, I get so congested and so inflamed, and a lot of bloating. I don't ever want to feel that way again. And now that I know what does it, it's easy to be like, nah, eating that stuff isn't as valuable as the way I feel when my body is free of toxins. So, I know a lot of people struggle with the bread, yummy crunchy bread, right? But there's alternatives, and I think for people who are really hung up on the diet aspect of doing the cleanse, because the idea, right, is to starve the Candida while you're attacking its outer shell. So when you do that, you're attacking it from two different directions. So if you do the cleanse, but you don't starve off the Candida by not feeding it sugar and yeast and starch, then you're just not going to get the same benefits out of it. And remember, sugar is addictive, food is addictive. So that part of your brain that's telling you there's no way I can do this because I can't give up bread and I can't give up these other things, that's not you. That's the Candida. That's the food addiction. So you have to find a way to get control over that voice and quiet it down and tell yourself that you can, in fact, make these changes, because in the long run, the health benefits that you experience far outweigh, you know, the cravings that you'll have to conquer. And I swear to you, where I felt like there was no way I was going to be able to give up my sugary Greek yogurts, you know, that I like with all the fruit mixed in already, or my coconut sugar and coffee creamer, and certain things that I love, like, oh my god, chips, corn chips, you know, I don't know. At first, maybe, yeah, it was hard because I was used to eating those things, but now, I don't know, it's like when you quit smoking. I used to be a smoker, and some of you guys can relate to this. At the time when somebody suggests that you quit smoking, it's like, what? Hell to the no, I'm not gonna quit smoking. I'll quit when I'm damn well ready. You know, people get kind of, you know, upset and flustered at the idea of giving up something that their body's addicted to. But then when you do finally quit and you do let it go and you're on the other side of an addiction, it seems crazy that you struggled with it, right? It just seems really crazy that it was so hard. That's how I feel now. You know, what was this? So I started on June 16th and I finished July 20th, and today is August 7th. So in that short period of time, I don't look at those things like food anymore, and I have little to no desire to eat them. And when I do, I have a backup plan. So there are certain things, that little allowances I will make, but they're the healthiest possible versions of those naughty things. So anyway, let me get back on track here. So I would say when I first started, my focus issues were bloating, constipation, acne, low libido, brain fog, ear infections, and congestion. That was like every single day I woke up with all of that stuff, and it's gone. It's all gone. It's all gone. It's all gone. Now when I eat something that I shouldn't eat, the first thing that happens to me is congestion, and then I tend to get acne. So I know that those are some remaining issues, and I plan on repeating the cleanse after the holidays to kind of, you know, get back into my body and get an even deeper healing this time, because I honestly, I didn't believe that it was going to work. I mean, I kind of believed, but I'm also skeptical by nature about certain things, and so I was really, really surprised, and everybody in my actual 3D bubble, they're all asking me what I'm doing, because it's obvious I've lost a lot of weight. I look trim, I look healthy, I'm like all like pumped and ready to go, and so they're asking me, and I'm like, oh, do it. You got to do it. But you have to do it in a mindful way. You know, it's important to look at your circumstances and understand everybody's journey is different. I'm an athlete, so I have been living with fairly clean eating habits and an athletic lifestyle since 2004, and that's a pretty big investment and commitment to my health. So I think my body was better prepped to handle the cleanse and to make the kind of emotional and mental changes that come along with giving up foods. That doesn't mean that people who aren't athletic can't do it. And I think people who have been living a sedentary life, whose diet is mostly processed foods, those are the people that need it more than I did. But anybody out there that's listening, I just want them to have a sense of being patient and look at this as a journey that you're going on, not a magic pill that you take and suddenly you're cured, because we've been polluting our bodies for years, and it's going to take a little time, you know, to reverse the effects of poor diet and lack of exercise. But the GAPS diet is incredible. The more I read, the more I learn. GAPS standing for Gut and Psychology Syndrome. I really had no idea how, and here, this is really important, because these were the surprising things to me, how much what we eat impacts our emotional and mental well-being. I'm always focused on physical output as an athlete, performance, you know, how much weight can I lift, how many miles can I run, and I was eating like crazy, and I didn't, you know, and that's fine, but I didn't feel good like I should. I didn't feel as confident as a person who works as hard as me should feel about themselves. And since the cleanse, how do I explain it? It's like this kind of an awakening almost, and I did not expect that. I thought I was addressing a purely physical aspect of my health, and what's happened is it's like this emotional clarity has happened, and I feel a better connection with the thoughts and the feelings that I'm processing every day. And I've been more emotional, but for me, it's a good thing because before I felt really numb and disconnected. And now I find myself, crying when a person ought to cry and not being ashamed of that, and feeling a lot more empathy for other humans. When other people share their journeys, their experiences, their struggles with me, their joy, I feel it. Like, I really feel it too, and it's refreshing. It's really refreshing. Also, my mind is quieter and cleaner. There isn't as much negative self-doubt and chatter rolling around in there, messing up my day. I feel just more able to kind of sit back into myself and just observe and let things go that don't belong there. I also have noticed that I have a much stronger sense of purpose and confidence, which I think comes with emotional and mental clarity. So, just a little quick, I redid my entire office space, and now I've got all of my plans, and I get up every day and I do my goals, my goal work, and my gratitude, and I'm super focused on what it is I came here to do. So that, all of these things are tied in. All of these things have changed in me since doing the cleanse, and I didn't really expect that. That caught me off guard. It's hard to catch me off guard. I'm like kung fu all day. Let's see. And I talked about the inflammation. Amazing as an athlete. I really thought my days of training and fighting were over, and not only am I training again, I'm coaching more. So it was like, I feel like I got like 5 years of my life back. And I think, really, that's, let's see. Oh, yeah. More energy on less food. What? Yeah. So, and a lot of that's the quality of the food in the GAPS diet. Talking about consuming highly nutritious food. And now my body's actually digesting things properly. Where before I would feel like I was eating all the time and eating all the time. People at work make fun of me because I literally have a grocery bag of food with me every day. And some of that's just smart preparation. You don't want to find yourself somewhere and you're starving and your blood sugars are everywhere, and you don't have a healthy backup plan. Crucial. That's just life, fitness, health in general. Learn to cook, prepare your food, have it with you. But yeah, I think that surprised me too. Like, I eat a lot less than I used to, and I have a ton of energy. When I go to the gym now and I work out, I feel like smooth through the whole thing. And then when I get done, my muscles aren't as fatigued, and I don't get as sore the next day. I'm not sure what the connection is there, but that's changed too. So overall, this has been one of the most impactful health decisions I've ever made in my life, and I'm really glad that I did it, because I kind of felt like I'd sort of peaked, like I'd reached, my optimal performance, and I was on a slow decline down the other direction. That's crazy. Like, I'm just starting, and I'm really excited about the future. I'm excited to do the cleanse again, because I know I can still tell in my body some things that, that like this. I don't want my body to be quite so sensitive to foods. So I know that the Candida's probably been pretty deep in my system for a while. I could trace it back to probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was working a job that I despised, and there was a heavy drinking culture in that environment. And so when the job got stressful, everybody was like, oh, let's drink. And I have a history of alcoholism in my family. So for me, that's just not a good idea. But, when you're in it and you don't have mental fortitude, it's easy to cave. So I noticed that during that time, I also stopped working out, and I was eating like poo, and I was drinking a lot for me, not as heavily as some, but for me it was a lot. And I started getting yeast infections and bladder infections, and I started getting injuries. That's when I hurt my neck, that's when I hurt my shoulders, when I hurt my knee. So, there's definitely a connection there, and it's all starting to make sense. So if you're out there and you're watching this video and you're wondering, how could you benefit from doing a Candida cleanse, I highly recommend, if you feel comfortable, do your own research. The Candida Cleanse support group is an amazing place to compare stories and experiences with other people who are actively cleansing, and to kind of gauge maybe where you're at in your health journey and what kind of healing you need. And just remember, it's about healing, okay? It's not about weight loss, which is convenient for a lot of people. That happens, but it's really more about, you know, what are you doing for your body now that you're going to benefit from in the next 10 years? And if you're tired and fatigued and everything hurts and you don't know what's wrong with you, I mean, don't you want something better? And it's safe for you. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win situation, and the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And I am so glad I did, and I'm looking forward to the next round, even though, you know, doing the detox process can be a bit daunting at times, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But that is my Candida story. I hope everyone out there has as an awesome experiences that I had.